Hello everyone, and welcome to Behind the Bulletin. Today, we're bringing you a story that's taking the entertainment world by storm. Just after officially confirming their relationship, Wang Ziqi and Wang Yuwen have made a shock announcement that no one saw coming, and fans everywhere are scrambling for answers. What exactly did they reveal? Why is this announcement sparking so much discussion online? And what does it mean for their future, both on and off screen? Stay with us, because we're diving into all the details right now. The night the relationship confirmation dropped, the internet didn't just react, it combusted. Screenshots raced across timelines like sparks in dry grass. Fan groups went into emergency mode. Entertainment pages posted the same headline in 10 different fonts. And in the middle of the noise, one detail kept repeating like a siren: an exclusive interview had been scheduled immediately after the confirmation. Too fast, too deliberate, too loaded to be casual. Because when celebrities confirm a relationship, they usually do one of two things: disappear, or smile politely and say nothing more. They don't sit down under bright studio lights, with cameras inches from their faces, and agree to answer questions while the world is still refreshing for updates. Wang Ziqi and Wang Yuwen did. The interview set was designed to feel warm, soft lighting, neutral colors, a simple table, 2 glasses of water placed with obsessive symmetry. It was the kind of room that tries to convince everyone that this is just a conversation. But the atmosphere betrayed the design. There was tension in the air that couldn't be edited out. The host's smile was a little too fixed. The staff moved too quietly. Even the makeup artist lingered a second longer than necessary, as if checking whether their expressions might crack. When Wang Ziqi walked in, he looked calm in the way people look calm right before making a decision that will change everything. His posture was straight, his jaw set, steady, but not relaxed. When Wang Yuwen followed, she offered a brief smile that didn't fully land. Hands clasped together once, then unclasped, then clasped again. Small movements, tiny tells, like her body was speaking a language her face refused to translate. They sat. The cameras rolled. Red light blinked on. The host opened with the expected lines: congratulations, respect for honesty, a nod to supporting them no matter what. The kind of words that sound soft, but carry weight. The audience wasn't there, but the internet was. Millions of invisible eyes were watching through lenses and screens, waiting for the next piece of the story to fall. The first question stayed safe: how did you feel when the news became public? Was it difficult to decide to confirm? Did you expect such a strong reaction? Wang Yuwen answered gently, emphasizing privacy and gratitude. Wang Ziqi added a few measured comments about responsibility. Their voices were controlled. Their answers clean. Too clean. Because every time the host tried to end a question, he glanced down at the cue card as if something heavier was waiting. Every time a pause appeared, a producer behind the camera lifted a hand in a tiny gesture: keep going, keep going. And every time the conversation began to settle into comfort, Ziqi's eyes flicked toward Wang Yuwen, as if silently asking, "Are we doing it now?" Then came the pivot. "People are happy for you," the host said, carefully. "But they're also curious. They're asking what changes now. What's next for the two of you?" The phrase "what's next" can mean anything. A public appearance, a drama project, a joint endorsement, a vague "we'll do our best." It's the kind of a question celebrities are trained to answer without saying anything. Wang Yuwen nodded slowly. "We understand," she said. Her voice was soft, but there was a strange firmness underneath it, like steel wrapped in silk. "And we wanted to say this directly, because we don't want it to be twisted." The host blinked. "Say what directly?" "A beat. 2 beats." The silence stretched just long enough to feel intentional. Wang Ziqi reached for his glass of water, took one sip, and set it down with a faint click that sounded far too loud in the room. "We've been thinking about the timing," he said. "And we know it's sudden. But we'd rather be honest." The host's smile tightened. "Honest about?" Wang Yuwen took a breath. And for a second her eyes dropped, not in shame, but in concentration. Like she was choosing the exact words that would cause the least damage while still telling the truth. Then she looked up. "We're stepping away," she said. The host froze. "Stepping away?" Wang Ziqi nodded once. "From the spotlight," he added, as if to make it unmistakably clear. For a while, it had like a silent explosion. Not because it was scandalous, but because it was unexpected in the most unnerving way. The relationship confirmation had already shaken the fan ecosystem. Now, the sudden suggestion of an absence, an exit, felt like pulling the floor out from under everyone who had just begun to stand. The host tried to recover. You mean, a break? A vacation? Wang Yuwen's expression didn't change. A break, she said. But not the kind people assume. Wang Ziqi leaned forward slightly. And the camera did too. Something about his posture made the room feel smaller. Didn't confirm our relationship to gain attention, he said. We confirmed it because we realized the rumors were getting darker. They were becoming dangerous. The host's eyes widened. Dangerous. Wang Yuwen's fingers tightened around each other. People don't know something. They invent it, she said quietly. And sometimes they invent things that harm not only us, but people around us. The host hesitated, as if he wasn't sure how far he was allowed to go. Are you saying, there's been pressure? Ziqi didn't flinch. Yes. That single word changed the temperature of the entire interview. Suddenly. It wasn't about romance. It was about control. About consequences. About a story moving too fast for the people inside it to breathe. Wang Yuwen looked straight into the camera. We're making an announcement today, she said. Because we want to stop the chaos before it grows bigger. The host swallowed. So what exactly is the announcement? Wang Ziqi's voice dropped. And it carried that unmistakable tone of finality, the tone people use when they know whatever they say next cannot be taken back. We're not just taking a break, he said. We're changing everything. A pause, sharp enough to cut. Wang Yuwen nodded, eyes shining with emotion she was refusing to let spill. We've decided to leave our current schedules, she said. We're ending certain contracts early. Canceling some appearances. And we're not doing it lightly. The host's face turned pale. Canceling appearances? Ending contracts. Wang Ziqi's jaw clenched. There's a reason, he said. The producer behind the camera made a frantic slicing gesture across the throat. Cut, 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 like the words were stepping into territory the network didn't want to broadcast. But the interview was live-streamed. It was already out. There was no undoing it. Wang Yuwen's voice trembled for the first time. Someone tried to sell our private life, she said. The host's mouth opened. But no sound came out. Wang Ziqi continued, controlled but unmistakably angry. Received messages, he said. Photos. Threats. Kind of thing you only believe happens to other people, until it happens to you. The silence that followed felt heavy enough to crush the soft furniture, the warm lights. The carefully styled set. This wasn't a celebrity shock announcement anymore. It was a warning. Delivered with steady eyes. Wang Yuwen inhaled slowly. Then she spoke. Her words were sharp with emotion. We will not let anyone manipulate us, she said. We will not let anyone turn our relationship into a product. And in that moment, while the world outside was still processing the first bombshell, a second one began to form, quietly. Dangerously, because if they were stepping away this abruptly, then the situation behind the scenes had to be worse than anyone imagined. The host, still trying to keep the conversation from collapsing, forced his voice into a careful tone. They'll ask, he said. They'll ask why now. Why confirm and then, immediately, announce this? Wang Ziqi's answer came without hesitation. Because someone gave us a deadline, he said. When Wang Ziqi said the word deadline, it didn't just hang in the air, it anchored the entire interview to something darker. Something real enough to make even the host's professional mask crack. A deadline meant urgency. A deadline meant there were forces outside the studio trying to shape their lives with a countdown. And the more the host tried to steer back towards safe territory, the more it became obvious there was no safe territory left. The host lowered his voice. Line from who? Wang Yuwen shook her head quickly. We won't name anyone, she said, firm. That's exactly what they want. Attention. Power. A public fight they can feed on. Wang Ziqi's gaze hardened. I'll say this, he added. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't fan fiction. It was direct contact. That phrase, direct contact, was enough to send the internet into frenzy within seconds. Clips were already being cut and uploaded. Were being written in real time. They were threatened. They got a deadline. They're quitting everything. Each repost amplified the panic. Each new translation turned it into something bigger. The host tried to breathe. So your shock announcement is that you're stepping away, changing schedules, cutting contracts, because someone is pressuring you. Yuwen's eyes narrowed slightly. Our announcement is that we're taking back control, she said. Whatever people want to assume. The truth is we're choosing safety over noise. It was a powerful line. It sounded almost like a statement you'd read in a legal document, carefully shaped, emotionally charged, but protected by precision. The kind of sentence that says, we know what we're doing, and we're prepared for what comes next. Still, the host couldn't stop himself from asking the question everyone at home was screaming at the screen. Is it serious? He said. The silence that followed answered him before any words did. Ziqi's fingers curled against the edge of his chair. Serious enough, he said quietly. That we stop living normally. Yuwen nodded, swallowing hard. You don't understand how it feels, she said, voice trembling despite her effort to keep it steady. To look at your phone and feel your stomach drop. To hear footsteps outside and wonder if someone is there. To step outside and feel watched, not by fans, but by people who don't care about you at all. People who only care about what they can take. The host's eyes softened. He had stopped being an entertainer and had become, briefly, a witness. Wang Ziqi leaned in. That's why we confirmed our relationship, he said. We thought if we were honest, it would stop the speculation. We thought it would calm people down. His voice sharpened. But it didn't calm them down. It made them hungrier. Those words landed like a slap. They were true in a way the public rarely admits. Confirmation isn't always closure. Sometimes it's gasoline. Yuwen looked straight into the camera again, as if speaking to the faceless crowd beyond the lens. We're not asking for sympathy, she said. We're asking for boundaries. He nodded, but the tension didn't ease. It only shifted. Because once you say boundaries, the next question becomes inevitable. What happens if the boundary is crossed again? The host's phone buzzed on the table, silent mode. But the vibration was visible. A small rattling motion that made the moment feel even more exposed. He glanced at it, then looked away quickly. The device had become a live wire. A producer stepped into the edge of the frame for half a second, then disappeared, whispering urgently into a headset. Something was happening outside the studio. Something immediate. Ziqi noticed a movement. What is it? He asked. The host hesitated. His mouth opened, closed, then opened again. There are reports, he said carefully, spreading online right now. People claiming they have proof of what you're talking about. Wang Yuwen's face went pale. Wang Ziqi's expression turned cold, protective, controlled. The look of a man who has already decided he will not be pushed 1 inch further. That's exactly why we're here, he said. Because if we stay silent, someone else will speak for us. The host swallowed. And what do you want people to know, right now, before this becomes a bigger storm? Wang Yuwen's hands unclasped. She placed them flat on the table, like she needed something solid under her palms. We want people to know we're leaving the noise, she said. We're stepping away from unnecessary exposure. We're ending the cycle where every private moment is treated like public entertainment. She paused, eyes shining. And we're doing it together. That last line hit hard, not as romance, but as solidarity. The kind that suggests they had been tested behind the scenes and had chosen to stand in the same direction. Even if it meant losing opportunities, money, visibility. Wang Ziqi nodded. This isn't a breakup story, he said, as if anticipating the most poisonous interpretation. This isn't a scandal. It's a decision. The host's voice softened. A decision to protect yourselves. Wang Ziqi answered without blinking. A decision to protect what matters. The phrase was broad enough to mean many things. And the internet immediately seized on that ambiguity. What matters? Family? Mental health? Safety? Future plans? The speculation machine revved louder, feeding itself. The host tried to steady the conversation with one final attempt at clarity. So what happens next? He asked. Will you return? Will you make another statement? Will fans get updates? Wang Yuwen shook her head. The kind of updates they want, she said. Turn our lives into episodes. Wang Ziqi's voice became almost gentle. We appreciate the support, he said. But we won't trade our peace for applause. Then he looked straight at the lens, and for a second, the polished actor's face disappeared. Remained was a person, serious, tired, resolute. "If you truly care about us," he said, "by not chasing us." Wang Yuwen nodded. "Let this be the last time you hear about our relationship from anyone who isn't us," she added. "Let it be the last time someone tries to profit from our privacy." The host tried to smile, but his eyes were wet. "Thank you for saying that," he whispered. The interview ended without fireworks. No cheerful transition music. No playful final question. Just a heavy, quiet goodbye. And outside the studio, the storm didn't end, it began. Within minutes, the shock announcement had become the #1 topic across multiple platforms. Clips of their words played on loops. Headlines screamed deadline in capital letters. People defended them fiercely, calling for respect and boundaries. Others demanded more details, accusing them of vagueness, as if vagueness wasn't the only shield they had left. Worst voices mocked, twisted, speculated, and pushed, proving in real time why the couple had made the choice they made. But in the middle of all that noise, the essence of what happened remained painfully clear. Two people confirmed their relationship, and then, almost immediately, announced they were stepping back. Not because they wanted to punish fans, but because the world had grown too sharp around them. It wasn't just shocking. It was unsettling, because it suggested something many people don't want to admit. Sometimes the most dramatic celebrity news isn't romance or betrayal. Sometimes it's a quiet refusal to be consumed. As the New Year's fireworks faded into smoke somewhere far away, one question hung over the entire spectacle like a shadow. If they had to step away this suddenly, what had been closing in on them all along? As the interview faded from screens and the headlines continued to multiply, one truth became impossible to ignore: this was not a story designed for shock, but one born from pressure. Wang Ziqi and Wang Yuwen revealed was not merely an announcement, it was a boundary drawn in real time, under unforgiving lights, before an audience that had grown too large and too hungry. The decision to step back was not an escape, but a stand. In a world where every silence is questioned and every truth is dissected, choosing privacy is no longer passive, it is an act of resistance. The shock did not come from what they said, from what they refused to give: endless access, instant explanations, and a life lived for public consumption. Noise continues outside the studio, rumors clashing with defenses, curiosity battling empathy. The core of this story remains simple and human. Two people chose control over chaos, safety over speculation, and in doing so, reminded everyone watching that fame does not erase the right to draw a line. Thank you for staying with this story until the very end. Your attention and your willingness to look beyond the surface are deeply appreciated. In an era driven by instant reactions, choosing to read thoughtfully matters more than ever. Grateful to have you here, and we'll continue bringing you stories that go beyond headlines, stories that examine not just what happened, but why it matters. Thank you for reading, and thank you for being part of the conversation.